Web Zone No Huddle podcast, part of the Odyssey Network. I'm Al Sacco with you on day two of the NFL draft in a day and a night that I thought, you know what? I thought the 49ers did okay. I do. Um, what were the biggest needs heading into this draft? Wide receiver, offensive line, corner. They've hit on all three of these things so far. And I also think they had a good day because they did not trade Deebo Samuel, which to me was huge. So the rumors are flying around. Let me start with Deebo and Ricky Pearsall and where I think all this kind of is coming together and starting. So Niners get Pearsall, and I get there's the trade rumors with Ayuk, which I understand because of the contract, right? Ayuk's contract, is he going to resign? If we don't resign him, do we have to trade him? But the Deebo stuff, Deebo is not going to be there next year. But trading him this year didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me at all because you're still trying to win the Super Bowl with this core. Now, the 49ers are in an interesting spot where while they are still trying to win with an extremely talented core, that core is aging. But you still have Kittle, you still have Hargrave, you still have these older players that you want to win Super Bowl with. So trading Deebo didn't make a lot of sense to me. But you're in this predicament where you have this extremely talented and aging core, but you're also trying to retool for what could be a very different team in 2025. And Deebo is kind of one of those aging players who's caught in the middle of that transition to me. So I know Deebo is not 32 years old, 33 years old. I think he's 28. He's got a lot of wear and tear on his body. And also, he's most likely in the last year of his contract. So this will probably be a last dance type thing for Deebo Samuel. But I thought you still had to roll with him this year. If you got rid of Deebo and Eric Armstead, you're a worse team than you were last year. You just are. Deebo is a one-on-one type guy. There are many other players like him. And, Collins and Elliott, whatever, they're not going to replace Eric Armstead. They may have good years, but they're not as good as Eric Armstead. So you already don't have Armstead. Getting rid of Deebo to me just would have been, I thought it would have been crazy. I thought it really would have set you back unless Pearsall comes in and he's Puka Nacua in year one, which you can't really put that on the kid. It's really interesting, though, because Josh Dubow put out a stat that I saw where he said San Francisco played the second fewest snaps with 3+ wide receivers last year, 410 snaps. And since Kyle Shanahan's been there, they've actually played the fewest 3 wide receiver plus sets in the NFL. Is that going to increase with Pearsall on the team? I don't know. But again, with rookie wide receivers, while some do come in and play better now than they did years ago, it still could take some time. So you don't want to rely on him to play that big of a role in another season where you're trying to win the Super Bowl. You want to bring him in, bring him along slowly, see how he does, and then you still have Deebo and Ayuk there. And it looks like that's where we're headed. I cannot see Deebo Samuel getting traded at this point in the draft. I mean, we're going to trade him for a fourth rounder. We're not going to do that. I think we're out of the woods now, and Deebo's going to be part of the team. And good, let's go. Let's run it back as much as we can with the squad and see where they get from there. Now, day two, offensive line has been on everybody's mind that the Niners need to upgrade there. And when they didn't take one in the second round, kind of thought to myself, like, okay, are they maybe they are good with the starting five they had last year and they're going to roll back and they don't care about it as much as we do. But it turns out they do, and they did take an offensive lineman in the third round. But let's start with the second round pick. They take the corner here. And if you look at the Niners secondary, the way it's set up right now, you have Lenore, who's obviously a terrific player, and the same with Ward, who might have had a career year last year. But beyond that, they were playing Logan Ryan in the slot in the Super Bowl. They did not have depth there at all, other than those two top guys at corner. And now you have Isaac Yiadom. Now you have Renardo Green. Now you have what looks to be a really strong group of 4 top corners that are going to be able to play for you this year. And Green's an interesting pick to me. So I've seen a lot of good stuff, but some negative things too. He looks like he's going to be a good fit for the 49ers. So Louis Riddick said that he thought he was the best press corner in the draft. Now he's a physical corner who's very competitive. He tackles. Again, he's going to be a good fit for this defense. The most yards he allowed last season was 46 to Pitt. And overall, he only allowed 22 a game. He had good showings against Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. And now, again, that 49ers cornerback room, it looks to be loaded. Now, trying to go to school on him a little bit, because I'll be honest, once you get past the first round, there's some people who do a lot with draft stuff and they may know some of these guys. I don't. I got to go to school on a lot of these guys. Once we get to the end of the second round, third round and beyond, got to go to school on these guys and kind of see who they are, what they've played like, what you can expect for them on the team. So Dane Brugler does the Beast every year. It's just such a terrific draft guide. It's really in depth, goes over a lot. So he had Renardo Green as his 17th ranked corner and a fourth round grade on him. So that concerned me a little bit. But what Dane says his strengths are is that he's patient and controlled in press man coverage. He's smooth with above average body control to react to route breaks. He's quick to key on routes and feels combinations around him. Didn't jam much at the line of scrimmage on tape, but he pins receivers to the sidelines and physically pesters them with his hands throughout the route. Reads receivers' eyes and body language to understand when the ball is arriving. He uses his body length to barricade the catch windows. Allowed only one catch of 20 plus yards in 2022, which was a 22-yard reception against Syracuse. He's very good in run support. Like I said, he's a serviceable tackler. Intensity level, he says, is cranked in all areas. Has safety and special teams experience as well. So he's a versatile guy. And he didn't miss a game because of injury in the past two seasons, which is huge to be able to come in and be somebody who's going to play through injury. Now, his weaknesses, average size and speed for an athlete by his standards. He's not quite 6 feet tall. It says he's 5'11" and 7/8 here. Says that he's quicker than fast and not going to close the gap on vertical routes. Now, he can get grabby on the top of his routes if and when he tends to panic, and maybe because he doesn't have that speed, he has to make up for it. He was flagged, and this is a little bit of an area of concern for me. He was flagged a total of 11 times the last 2 seasons, including 4 pass interference penalties in 2023. Dane says that number could have been higher. He stays locked on the receivers and doesn't appear comfortable getting his head turned to locate the football. He only has 1 career interception, and that came last year. He lacks pop at contact as a tackler and is more likely to absorb a hit than drive through the ball carrier, but he is a willing tackler. So, summary on Green: a 2-year starter at Florida State. Green was a perimeter cornerback and a defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator Adam Fuller's balanced coverage scheme. After playing safety for 2 seasons, he returned to his more natural corner position in 2022, and he did tie for the ACC lead in passes defended at 14 as a senior in 2023. In his play in the opener against LSU, it created a buzz amongst NFL scouts. Like I had said, he did good against Neighbors in that game. He's wired right for the position and clamps down in coverage with his awareness and physicality, which consistently allows him to compete for throwing lanes. However, he tends to get over aggressive with his contact at the top of routes. But overall, I guess in terms of what Brugler thinks, he's a polarizing prospect for NFL teams because he doesn't have the desired speed or ball tracking skills. Doesn't fit every scheme, but his play personality and ability to quickly find his balance and coverage helps him stay connected to give him a chance to have a meaningful role in the secondary. But I do think he could be a nice fit for the 49ers overall. I do think, again, he has kind of that dog mentality, right? He plays really hard. I think he's going to be a good fit in the team. And he's not somebody, because they have Yadam, because they have Ward, because they have Lenore, they can bring him in slowly here. So what does that mean for the team moving forward? I don't see any way that they can re-sign both Lenore and Ward. I just think when you have Brandon Ayuk's contract coming up, it's just going to be too expensive. So they probably are going to have to choose between one of those 2 guys. If I had to guess right now, I would guess Lenore is the guy that they're going to re-sign. The reason I say that is Lenore is more versatile. He's younger, but Lenore could play inside and outside. He's the guy to me that I think is going to get the extension probably this offseason. I don't think it's a complete 0% chance that Ward gets extended, but he's coming off a hell of a year. And if he plays even remotely close this year to what he did last year, he's going to make a lot of money. And Ward's getting a little bit older. He's pushing 30. So you have to think that they would go younger with Lenore there. Yadam's only on a 1-year deal. We'll see where that goes if he's somebody that they decide to bring back. But this is a good pick. They needed a corner. So now through 2 rounds, they have a wide receiver, which was a need because again, regardless of the Ayuk situation, Juwan Jennings and Deebo Samuel probably aren't going to be here in 2025. So you have the receiver that you can bring in that can contribute this year, and then hopefully next year can take on a starting role. You have the corner that you're bringing in that can contribute this year, and then hopefully in 2025 take on a starting role. So what they're doing is they're retooling while staying competitive, and those first 2 picks did that. Now, 3rd round, thinking to myself, man, when is this team going to move up and take an offensive lineman? You know what I mean? When are they gonna make that move? When are they gonna say, okay, we need an offensive lineman here? And they do. They end up trading their 3rd rounder, one of their 3/4 to move up 8 spots to take Dominic Cooney, who was very versatile in college and played both tackle and guard, but he's going to play guard in the NFL. Now, Brugler had him ranked as his 5th best guard in this class. He had him with a grade of his 2nd, 3rd round. I think this is a really good pick for the 49ers, a really solid pick for them. When you look at the position in the interior, been talking about it all offseason, it really worries me. One, the age of the offensive line, and two, we've just seen over and over and over again, they're just not good enough on the interior or right tackle, really. But you have Trent Williams, who is an all-world player, right? I mean, he's best left tackle in the league, arguably. He's a Hall of Famer. So you have him there. Aaron Banks is in the last year of his deal. You see the guard money kind of went crazy this offseason. I'm not sure that Banks is going to be a guy that they bring back either. He was okay this past year, but I don't see the Niners, unless it's a team-friendly deal, I don't see them breaking the bank to, no pun intended, to bring him back. Then the other positions are where you kind of get worried a little bit. So Jake Brendel is an average center, and he's 33 years old. And I really thought center, and still might be, would be a position that they're going to address in this draft as well, because they need somebody. And Kyle Shanahan, on whether it's Alex Mack or again when he went out and tried to get Weston Richburg for the 49ers, injuries cut his career short with the Niners. But center's always been a point of emphasis for Kyle. So I'm a little surprised that they're still running with Brendel, but he's serviceable, but they can be better there. Feliciano, he had a good year last year, but again, he's 32. He's on a 1-year deal. He's not a long-term answer at guard, not by any stretch of the imagination. And then you have McKivitz as well at right tackle, serviceable, but they can use an upgrade there. Obviously, they're not going to be able to replace 3 or 4 offensive line positions just in this one draft, but they get Pooney, who can come in, and it looks like I said, he's going to be a guard for him. Now, Brugler said he's got a workable frame with upper body strength. He fires his large hands to deliver pop-at contact. He's able to steer defenders in the run game once he gets his hands on them. Quick out of his stance with the foot speed agility to reach his pulling landmarks. He doesn't panic and stays on schedule to seal and bury moving targets. Stays wide and controlled with his pass set depth. Anchors down versus power as a pass blocker. Only had 2 penalties in 2023, 1 holding and 1 ineligible downfield. His Kansas coaches praised that he's calm, he's steady, he has that kind of demeanor in the way that he approaches every single rep. And like I said, he's cross-trained. He plays tackle, he played guard, and he also played center during practice and lined up at center on a critical 3rd down and short conversion on 2023 Kansas State tape, whatever that means. His weaknesses: high cut and carries some excess weight in the middle. Doesn't have ideal arm length or lateral range to cut off in the rush. His high pad level leaves him susceptible to getting pulled off balance. Eager hand strike, but his placement will let him down at times in pass protection, allowing rushers to slip away. Can be late with his weight transfer and improperly answer counters. Suffered a torn MCL in his left knee in September 2021 in the 2nd game. He missed the remainder of that season. He spent most of his college career at Division II, and he is 24 years old, so he's an older player. Now, he started 2 years at Kansas. He started at left tackle. He started at guard. In 25 straight starts, he has not allowed a sack. So he's a good pass blocker. Overall, Pooney will get himself into trouble bending at the waist, letting his pads rise, but he plays big, powerful, and sends a harsh message with his hands while staying controlled through contact. He can play tackle if needed, but projects as the NFL as a starting guard or center. And it looks like the Niners are going to be using him at guard here. Very good pick. I think that they've hit on needs in day two. We'll see where the rest of the draft goes. The Niners have been very good late in drafts, so it's you say, oh, well, the fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, these picks don't typically work out. For the Niners, it feels like they do. So what they have to do on day three, I think they can still get guys that can eventually help their team. When you look at needs for them, again, I still think there's needs everywhere moving forward. They could take a running back. McCaffrey again, almost 800 touches the last 2 years. Mitchell's not going to be around it for this year. Mason likely won't be. Patrick Taylor's on a 1-year deal. They could absolutely bring in another running back late. I don't think Isaac Guerrero got picked yet. I'm recording this while they're still drafting, but I don't think that he got picked yet. So running back's a position they can attack. Can they bring in another receiver still? Absolutely, because assuming Ayuk is going to get re-signed, like we said, Jennings and Deebo probably won't be there in 2025. So you really have Ayuk, you have Pearsall. And I don't think Ronnie Bell's a long-term answer. So you could absolutely see another wide receiver get taken. George Kittle's 31. The tight end can be on the board for them tomorrow, or in day three, I should say. Offensive line, do they still need people? Yeah, we just talked about it. They do. You can take a tackle. You could take a center. You could take another guard. They absolutely need people. So all those positions are still on the board for them, still have to be considered on the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, you still really just have Nick Bosa in terms of long-term answers at defensive end. Leonard Floyd is 31 years old. He's a 1-year, maybe 2-year type stopgap. You don't know what Gross Matos is. He's going to probably rush from the inside and passing downs anyway. Probably do base stuff at defensive end. But again, it's not like he's this great player, this great free agent signing. You really don't know how he's going to translate into this system. He's a big question mark. He's only on a 2-year deal as well. And then in the interior, Javon Hargrave is 31. I thought he took a step back last year from his previous year in Philly anyway. Jordan Elliott, I'm not super excited about. The tackle from the Texans. Why am I forgetting your name right now? But again, a good pass rusher, only on a 1 or 2-year deal. They can take any position on the defensive line. They can take an edge guy. They can take a defensive tackle. They still need a run stuffer to me as well. So somebody like that, if they're still around, could be someone to look into. Linebacker. Greenlaw's in the last year of his deal, right? There's just common theme, a lot of expiring contracts. Linebacker could be a position that they take as well, not only for next year, but again, if Greenlaw is not somebody that you're going to re-sign long-term, because if he's healthy, he's going to be expensive as well. And then I wouldn't be surprised. I think they're set at corner, but they've been looking at safeties this offseason. Justin Simmons, maybe somebody like that could still be brought in free agency, but maybe they draft someone like that too. Maybe they get a kick returner. Who knows? So many places they can still go. But I really feel like so far, some of the picks have been surprising. Obviously, we didn't see Ricky Pearsall. The 2 picks tonight were guys I wasn't really looking at. And we do mock drafts. Nobody knows what the hell we're talking about when we do these mock drafts. We look at players we like. We have no idea who the Niners like. But I didn't really have Renardo Green pegged for anything. I didn't have Pooney as somebody they were looking at the position. But here you are. You have both of those guys. And I think overall, again, it's a solid job. We're not going to know for 2-3 years, really, if the people that they took end up being impact players, but they're hitting positions in need. I think they're taking, best player available for them at those positions while they're doing it. The Pearsall pick was smart if he was their guy, because after he got picked, you saw that run on receivers go. Now, you could argue they should have taken McConkey or one of the other receivers instead of Pearsall. That's up to you if that's what you think. Pearsall, to me, is someone who's going to be able to separate, and the Niners have had issues with that. I think he's going to be a very reliable target for Purdy. When you look at the Super Bowl, there's a million reasons why they lost that game, but one of them was they couldn't separate against those Kansas City defenders in the secondary. Deebo had a really rough game. Ayuk only had 3 catches on 6 targets. Kittle only had 1 or 2 catches. They needed somebody who could separate, give Purdy someone to, a safety valve there. And that's maybe what they think Pearsall can do. And Pearsall lined up all over the place in Florida. So they can also, how Kyle is. Kyle's going to use him in a million different ways. So I think that was a very, very, very good pick for them. And again, not somebody I think he will play a decent amount of snaps this year, but I don't know that they need him to because you still have Deebo and you still have Ayuk and you still have Jennings and Kittle. So now you can ease Purcell in. Same thing in the secondary. You still have Ward. You still have Lenore. You have Yadam. So now you don't need your rookie corner to come in and play big snaps. You can ease Green in with eyes on a bigger role in 2025. Now, can Pooney win a starting job? I think he can because I don't love their interior, their offensive line. Do I think he could beat out Feliciano? Sure, I do. But again, if he doesn't, they take the Aaron Banks approach with him, where they kind of redshirt him this year, and with eyes on that you're going to start in 2025. So there's a real possibility that the first three picks in this draft are all going to be starters in 2025. And the Niners, the last three drafts, they haven't done super well in getting guys who've been lockdown starters since really 2020. So at least in the early rounds. So to get these guys now in rounds 1, 2, and 3, where it looks like you got three starters, it's a good couple days. It is. It's a solid couple days. Are there question marks with them? Green with the penalties. Sure. There's always question marks. You don't know until you know. You don't know until they get out there. But I would give the Niners right now, if I had to grade them, man, might say a B to a B plus, depending on what you think of Purcell. And I'm starting to come around on Purcell. So if he's a guy that's going to be a safety valve and an 80 catch type guy, maybe he can be. At least that's what they think for him. I'm going to give him a B to a B plus right now. It's been a good couple days. I'm excited to see what they do and what positions they attack in day 3, and we'll see how that goes. But that's where I am, and I'm curious what everybody else thinks too. Tweet at me and let me know what how you think the Niners have done, what grade. We'll see. So moving forward, I don't know if we're going to do another show after day 3. Probably not, but we're working on getting Matt Miller back to go over all the picks for the Niners, and he can break down what he thinks. He's a Niners fan, so he could break down what he thinks of the players and how the Niners did. And we'll see. But overall, I think if you're a Niners fan, you still got Ayuk, you still have Deebo, and you might have added some decent players here. And the Niners have their eyes on. They understand where their needs are going to be. They understand what their weaknesses are, I think, and they're attacking those. You're not going to be able to get every position in the first 3 rounds, but they did a pretty good job. Once I was a little worried they were going to take offensive linemen, but once they did, I'm like, all right, you know what? I think they had a good plan. I think they executed well. They traded up for an alignment that they liked, and I think they did okay. So I'm going to say B to a B plus. Pretty solid first couple days. Hope you guys think the same. We'll see how it all works out. Thanks. I'm Al. Bye.